Now, 7 minutes to 8. Time for our Dorset Live's guests this morning. I'm very pleased to say that we're joined in the studio by, one chap we've met before and one chap I think we haven't. Ben Kaye and Stu Jones, who are behind a new book called The Ones Who Walk Above. Have I got that right, Ben?
That's correct, absolutely.
Okay. Very good to see you. Good morning.
Good morning to you.
Stuart, welcome along. So Ben, we know as a sort of librettist and poet. Stuart, give us some background. So where have you come from?
I live in Dorchester, just down the road, and I run a design company called Boo and Stu. And Ben approached me, probably 2 years ago now, to help him illustrate this book. And it sounded like a fantastic project, and I just really wanted to be involved with it.
Okay, and Ben, so you I know you from years gone by. We're friends on social media. I've seen you've been campaigning for a little while on the subject of badges. I'd say gently campaigning, though. You know, the recent issues in the county have moved you to write this book.
Yes, very much so. And it's not just badges. I mean, it's an illustrated book for children. Firstly, the ones who walk above, and it's really designed to generate interest in our young people to become guardians of our natural wildlife. So we're talking about badgers and foxes, raptors, that sort of thing, hares.
Is it a sort of a departure from you? Because the when we have spoken before, it's very much been in your guise as a librettist, and we'll come back to Anya 17 in a moment. But this is a work that you wrote about human trafficking, effectively an opera about sexual trafficking, and you are writing a book about wildlife and nature.
Well, yes, indeed, and actually a couple of years ago, I wrote a very large-scale piece about but trafficking in terms of migration too. So, to be honest, I think up until now I've been about 2 to 3 years ahead of the curve.
Stuart, I'm just flicking through a copy of the book here, and the illustrations are very charming, quite cartoony, but also quite sort of stripped back. Is this the style in which you usually work?
Yeah, it's a style very similar to how I usually work, and something I developed over the course of the book. I really wanted something that was really easy for kind of children to get into and really easy to follow, and where they could really kind of, empathise with the characters.
This is very lovely, isn't it? That's very lovely. So what's the deal with this, Ben? How do people get hold of it? Where's it going to be?
Well, it's going to be launched in Oxford Street next Saturday by the Badger Trust, going up there to do a talk, etc. And from then on, it'll be available from Amazon. There's also a website, theoneswhowalkabove.com.
And look at these endorsements on the back as well. So we're glued in my house to Springwatch at the moment. And there's Chris Packham saying lovely things about you, a fairy tale of our 21st century countryside. How on earth does one go about getting an endorsement from the man they say is the heir to David Attenborough?
Well, indeed. I mean, funnily enough, the people that the book is dedicated to, Martin and Julia Noble. Martin, for many years, was the head keeper of the New Forest and is my uncle-in-law. Okay. And so I spent a long time over there helping him rehabilitate various wild creatures and things. And I talked to Martin Noble about this book, and he said, sounds like a good idea. And when I approached Chris Packham, I didn't realise this, he was a big fan of Martin Noble's.
Right.
So that was great.
It all ties together very nicely. Stuart, holding a copy of this in your hand, it must feel quite nice.
It's magical, absolutely magical.
Okay, so the ones who walk above.com to find out more details about where you can get hold of this. And Ben, as I mentioned there, a big week for you next week, because there's this launching in Oxford Street. Yeah. Next week, and also Anya 17 premiering in Los Angeles.
Well, yes, it's the premiere for Los Angeles. It was last time in America. It was in San Francisco, but I'll be firmly planted in Dorset. So I have no plans to fly over at the moment. But again, it's tremendous, and in fact that was a project that Stu was involved with as well. That's how we first.
What did you do on that, Stu?
I did all the artwork for it.
Right.
Ben approached me well, when it was first happening,
Yeah.
and asked me if I'd do it. So
I mean, that's we're up against the clock, but that's one of those fascinating things where I'd never thought before that you write these things. One writes these things, and then one releases them on the world and hopes that they continue to move. And this has. I mean, it must be 4 or 5 years now.
Yes, indeed, and it continues to gather strength. And in fact, I've been invited back up to the House of Commons later on this year because again they're keen to promote it.
You can find out more about that, by the way. There's a website out there. I think it's anya17.co.uk.
That's correct. Yes.
Very lovely to see you both. I'm going to keep. Can I keep a hold of this? Put it in our library. Is that acceptable? They're not sure. They might have to hand it back. Stuart Jones from Dorchester, Ben Kaye from Sturminster Newton.
Now just south of Shaftesbury, but yeah.
All right. Good to see you this morning. Our Dorset Live's guests.
BBC Radio Solent Travel.
Time for an update on the roads from Charlotte Foots.
Thank you, Steve.